Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Mari Riesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Dr. Keith Bell. Doctor of Acupuncture and Chinese Medicine, is an internationally recognized expert in the fields of holistic health and integrative medicine. Please enjoy Dr. Keith Bell. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. Today, I am here with Dr. Keith Bell. He is a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, an internationally recognized expert in the field of holistic health and integrative medicine. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited and honored to be here as an international expert in holistic medicine.
You wrote those words, sir. You wrote them.
You know, I did. I really did. And my publicist wrote those words.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
I love it. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Who I am and what I do. So I'm a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine here in Richmond, Virginia. And for 20 years, I've had a practice that is a reproductive medicine practice. So I've specialized in the treatment of reproductive disorders. And so that's what I'm known for internationally, is teaching other Chinese medicine practitioners how to treat reproductive disorders and infertility. But also I was a professor of thinking skills, and that's how I got into this creative arena. Is I taught at James Madison University for years, and I taught a class on how to think, and it was a class geared towards engineers on how to think creatively, and that there's more than one way to come at a problem, and there's more than one way of ascertaining or understanding things. And so we would teach them to think intuitively, creatively, culturally, instead of just scientifically. So this whole class was about how we know and understand things. So then I've merged those two fields together, and writing a book on how not burn out. And so how to use Chinese medicine for the prevention and treatment of burnout. So I use thinking skills and creativity to help patients and practitioners understand what burnout is, how to prevent it, and how to treat it. So that's a little bit about me.
That's amazing. And it's so necessary and so needed. And not only for like creatives and non-creatives, but I just think of the like holistic health world, the world of therapy. Therapists need to not burn out too. And man, it's hard, especially right now in the pandemic. It's
it's really difficult. And we're seeing, for 20, 30, oh my God, it's the 70s. It's 50 years. I'm 50 years old. I'm thinking the 70s was 20 years ago. For 50 years, burnout has been the same. It's been pretty much defined the same and affecting the same group of people. But with this pandemic, we're really having to look at new ways that people are burning out and losing their compassion and losing their ability to connect. So yes, when this pandemic is over, there's going to be a lot of people out there who have been in the helping professions, therapists, doctors, nurses, midwives, acupuncturists, really going to be hit hard. So that's why I'm excited to be here, because the work that you're doing with creativity is probably the most fun way to prevent burnout.
Yes, I agree. It is. It is the most fun way. For sure. But I love that you're writing a book about it, and I can't wait to read it when it comes out.
If I don't burn out first, I know, right?
That's like prep yourself. I know I had a friend who wrote their dissertation on stress, and through it, she was the most stressed that she's ever been.
Right. I know. That's what everybody says. They're like, please don't burn out writing this book on burnout. And I'm like, we'll
Exactly.
see. We'll see.
You got to have your tribe check on you and make sure that you're doing okay. Yeah.
I have my tribe. I have my posse.
I love
Yes.
it. That's amazing. Well, we're
Yeah.
chatting about creativity. And when you think about creativity, what does it mean to you to be creative?
So personally, and in
Mhm.
my field of work, Chinese medicine is based on change. So the whole practice of Chinese medicine is based on the book of changes and how things change. So change is a constant.
Mhm.
And for me, do I want to be a participant in change? Do I want to be an active participant? Or do I just want to ride the waves? So every day I'm thinking to myself, things are changing. I can be an active participant in influencing how change occurs and create
Mhm.
my future, my own future. So that's actually the way that I see creativity and I see my job. And so I think of, I'm in the healing arts. And
Mhm.
so there is a creative aspect to what I'm doing. So every day, again, I'm with patients or students or lecturing, and every moment I think I'm serving these people, and I
Mhm.
want to serve them joyously, and I
Mm.
want to inspire them to realize that they also are participating in change. So it's all about that active participation and harnessing the energy of change and being an influencer of change.
Mhm.
And so I think for me personally, that is how I am creative in life. But also to understand with creation, there's destruction.
Yeah.
And that's the whole yin and yang of Chinese medicine. So
Mm.
as we're creating our future, honoring that part that got us where we are now, but also has to be let go of. If, even
Mhm.
personally, if I'm going to do on a new creative project, what sacrifice am I making? What part of my life has to end,
Mhm.
be destroyed, be honored? It got me here. So honoring the past, honoring that as we create, we also are destroying something, and being mindful of that, and being mindful, is what I am creating for the greater good?
Mm.
Am I
Mhm.
creating something that is going to be holistically
Yeah.
serving the greater good, or am I creating something that is not necessarily of service for
Mhm.
humanity? And if
Mhm.
that's the case, what's the price? So I'm always kind of leveraging and looking at um, each day, and I do this. I kind of take stock. Is this about me? Is this about the greater good? Is this joyous service
Mm.
that I'm creating? Because I look at my work, and if I'm not serving my patients or my students joyously,
Mhm.
am I making them miserable? And now I'm rambling. But
No, I love it.
creativity, harness that energy of change and influence it. Don't
I
just ride
love
it.
it. Yeah. And as you were talking, it reminded me of kind of tenets that we talk about in therapy when with clients where they can actively participate in life and contribute to the change that is happening in their life, or many times clients view the life happening to them, that they're not in
Right.
control or they have no choice in the change that's happening. And so I really like how you were talking about that balance of choosing to actively participate in the change and actively let go of the things that are no longer present or no longer serving you in that destruction, or, I mean, for lack of a better word, the dying, the death of
Right. The
something.
death. Yeah, you have to be mindful, and you have to be courageous. And I feel like my job is to inspire people to live not only courageously but outrageously.
Ooh,
Let
yeah.
go. I love outrageous people, and let go of those ideas of what things are supposed to be. Um, that hold us back. I mean, people grasp to hold on to the past when
Yeah.
it's not going to happen. I mean, again,
Right.
change, we always have the choice of how we're going to respond
Hmm.
to the events of the day.
Absolutely. Oh, I love it. And I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's to set yourself up or to show up in the world as being the conduit of change and propelling yourself forward, I think is like, what a gift, not only to give yourself, but the people around you, and to model that, because I think so many people get really stuck in holding on to the past, like you were saying, and gripping in that tension. And that can be, that can increase anxiety or cause so many other physical ailments for us when we hold on to things so tightly.
Exactly. And when I'm working with patients, one of the first things that I look at is and evaluate if people are holding on to the past is habits,
Yeah.
routines. Anytime we get stuck in a habit or a specific routine, stagnation occurs. And
Mm-hmm.
when stagnation occurs, disease occurs, and then death occurs. So, I mean, I'm always examining ways in which I am doing things unconsciously,
Mm-hmm.
or ways in which I'm choosing to do things the same way over and over and over again.
Right.
And that's the first sign that you're getting stuck. And
Yeah.
so mix it up. I
I
like
love.
mixing it up. And that's what I mean about the outrageous living. It's sometimes it's just, you know, putting on a crazy outfit,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
That's great. Yeah. And it reminds me too of kind of the one of the ways to be creative is to step off the path of least resistance. You know,
Right.
that those
Right.
habits, when we get into that pattern, our ability to tap into creativity is diminished. And yet when we're able to step off that path of least resistance, because we like things that are familiar, we
Mhm.
recognize them, but when we can step outside of that, magic and creative magic can really happen. So
And what happens if you never step on the path to begin with?
ooh, that is such
You
a
know,
great question. Yeah.
if you look at the path, if you see two paths to a destination and one looks easy and you can see the destination, but the other path you have no idea where you're going, that's the path of adventure.
Yes.
I love it. So I'm not even sure I step on that path of least resistance. Now I know I'm hardwired to it. And I know our brains
Yep.
are hardwired to be lazy, and not necessarily for laziness sake, but for efficiency's sake.
Right.
But
Ease.
shit, I'm not sure I do anything if
You're the one person in the world.
it drives my husband crazy. Drives him crazy.
I love it though.
Even telling a story, we wander about in a story. He's like, "Can you just get to the point?" No, because I don't know what the point is yet.
The journey, it's about the journey. It's not about the point.
Exactly.
I love it. Well, in talking about, creativity and stagnation, I kind of associate stagnation with kind of challenges around creativity. How do you face creative challenges or stagnation in your own life?
So, as you brought up my posse, I have a group. I don't rely on myself to be able to get myself out of any situation that I got myself into, because I'm the one who got myself into the damn situation that I'm trying to get out of.
Right.
So I have a great group of friends
Mm.
that I rely on, and I'm not, I got rid of shame a long time ago, and guilt in my life. Now, I mean, I'm not perfect. There are things that I don't know necessarily. There are things that I want to change about myself.
Yeah.
But how do I face creative challenges? I go to friends that
Mm.
I know are trusted, that have my best interest, that know me, that can tell me honestly and know I'm not going to get angry with them.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that for me is one of the important things that I've done in my life is cultivate these friendships
Mhm.
who of creative people, but in a different way than me. And so, all of my really close friends are somehow in a creative field, whether they're
Mm.
um, actors or musicians or dancers, and they all come to that creative field from a different point of view. And so when I am stuck, I go to them and I say, I'm stuck, help me.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, it's so important to have that community and to be able to extend or reach into it when we are experiencing challenge or blocks or whatever it is. And in that same vein, when you experience failure, how do you embrace failure?
Um, I actually don't look at it as failure. I see it as a challenge.
Mm.
I know that I'm not good at certain things, and so sometimes I just do it to to see how bad I'm going to be. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I just see it as a challenge. So yes, I mean, we don't see it as permanent. Again, everything
Yeah.
changes. So if I'm going to try to do something new or even something old, and it goes incredibly in a different direction than I had planned on it going, um, then again comes that adventure side of me. Okay, well, this did not go as planned, and I may have, again, majorly messed things up.
Yeah.
But there's always an opportunity to fix it. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm thinking of different things. Like if I do something that's incredibly hurtful to a friend or
Hmm.
colleague by accident, then I go to them and we fix the problem. If I do a project that I completely screw up, then I just look at that as, well, let's see what we can do with this. Let's look at it
Learning
just from another way.
opportunity. Yeah.
That's a learning opportunity. Now, I may go into it kicking and screaming, and I may sometimes be in denial that I even messed it up.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then the friends will let me know, mm, you're delusional, you messed this up. Then I call on them and we fix the problem. So,
Nice.
but I don't necessarily see life as pass fail.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great perspective and way to look at life. And I think really hard for many people because there's,
Well, I have to follow it up that I've had a blessed life
yeah.
so far.
Hmm.
I really haven't had that many difficult challenges. Now, I don't know if it's because if it would have been a difficult challenge to someone else,
Hmm.
I don't know. But there are people, if I were in their shoes, I don't know how I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. It's hard
Am
to
I making
say.
sense?
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's hard to say how you would respond to someone else's situation having never experienced it. So I get it.
So come back to me in a few years after something incredibly difficult has happened. But then again, I don't know. People may think that what I go through is difficult
Yeah.
or challenging.
I guess
So
it's
I
all
don't know.
perspective, right? Your own
It's all
perspective.
perspective.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to shift to the early stage, the early life of you. And when you were a kid or your early memories, what's your earliest memory of being creative?
So this is what I had to think about. When you gave me a list of some of the questions that would be asked, I've never thought about that until I actually sat down this morning and thought about it. And I remembered that when I was a kid, I was always writing skits and
Ooh.
plays.
Uh-huh.
And I have three first cousins, and we were an incredibly close family. I mean, we
Hmm.
were together 3 or 4 nights a week.
Oh,
It's
wow.
not like
Yeah.
we would get together just at Christmas time. So my family grew up in this small town, industrial farming town that I'm not even sure would be considered middle class, but
Okay.
definitely blue collared workers. And my three cousins, all younger than me, Ashley, Holly, and Jill, would come over. And every time they came over, I would be writing skits for them. And then I would dress them up and they would go perform those skits for the family.
I love
And
it.
then I was writing skits for my class in school. And I would get, so it's funny because you know that I work with a lot of performers
Yeah.
from the Broadway community. And I always thought, how the hell did this happen? And it wasn't until today that I realized my entire childhood, and when I'm talking childhood, I'm talking below age 12, because I think
Yeah.
it all changed when I became a teenager and separated myself and started doing my own things.
Yeah.
But from probably age 7 to 12, I was always writing these skits for my family to perform, and willing performances, and we clapped and laughed and
That's
mm,
amazing.
forgot about
You forgot about it.
it. I forgot about it. So that's the earliest memories. I didn't even, like I said, I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah.
Asked me if I'd ever written a play or a skit, I'd be like, what are you talking about? But I wing it all the time.
And now we know.
Now
You
I
have.
know. You
You
know,
have.
I have.
I love it. You should. I'm curious if your first cousins remember any of the skits that you wrote them.
Oh, I know they do.
Oh.
I know they have stories. Oh, they have stories. We would have dance competitions in my bedroom. And then I would write the skits and rehearse it with them, dress them up, and they'd go out into the living room and perform for the entire family. I know they remember.
That's amazing. I love people's memories of being creative as kids, and how it still shows up in their life today or how it doesn't show up in their life. I think it's so fascinating just to hear the stories and how life happens or changes, or how it influenced adulthood for many people as well. Yeah.
Right.
It's really cool to hear, because I was doing that too. I was writing skits and plays and redoing, I'd see some movie and act it out as a kid and put shows on for the whole family, make my brother act in
See,
it as well.
I never did any of the acting or singing. I was always directing. I guess that's that whole harnessing change and influencing it thing that I was born into. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's just that's my thing.
Yeah. That's
I don't think I'm
amazing.
controlling, but no,
Like
not
to
controlling.
have that you're the big picture person. You can see the beginning, the middle, and end, is what it sounds like.
Yeah. I'm thinking, yeah, I can definitely see the beginning. Sometimes the end, I'm like, let's see what happens.
Oh, yeah, well, maybe you're not supposed to see the end, right? It's supposed to have it be a mystery and explore it when you get there.
Love a mystery. Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Well,
exactly.
When we have talked for various things that we have done, I am always struck by the people that you know and the community that you have. When you think about inspiration, who or what inspires you these days?
So, who inspires me these days? So I'm always inspired by people who, one, are creative and who give back.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say give back, they realize that their creativity has a purpose, and the purpose may be about them. That their creativity is used influentially in the world to actually leave the world a better place. That we're all connected. So I'm incredibly inspired by all of my friends, because I choose people who do that. But you made me remember something. My original inspiration, when I talked about writing those plays with my cousins, and then I became a teenager and I separated myself from my family. Cyndi Lauper, this was 1983. And Cyndi Lauper came into the picture. So I became a teenager as Cyndi Lauper came on the scene. And it's also when I realized that I was gay. And it's also when I realized that I was in a situation where I was different from the people that I was around, and I did not understand it.
Yeah.
And I could become I can see now that I was going towards depression and separating myself from the family and friends because I knew something was different, but I didn't know what it was. And in comes Cyndi Lauper and her She's So Unusual album. I've never told this story publicly, by the way, so I can't believe I'm doing it, but here I go. So She's So Unusual came out, and I was like, wow, this is a person celebrating being different.
Yeah.
And so I immersed myself into her album, and she
Mm.
became my inspiration of, you may be different, you may be unusual, but we're going to celebrate it. So
Hmm.
in the town I grew up in, that's not going to be celebrated, but she's celebrating it. So I took myself away from the family. And I even wrote Cindy a fan mail letter telling her all of this
Oh,
I got a typewriter, I think when I was 13 years old. And
uh-huh.
so I typed her a letter, but I didn't put a return address on it because I'm typing her this letter that something's wrong with me. I'm
Yeah.
different. I don't know what to do about it, but your music is inspiring me to be okay with it until I know what to do with this.
Mm.
And I mailed it to her, but I went to the post office for months waiting for a return letter from her just to know that this was going
Yeah.
to be okay, knowing that I never put a return address
On,
on it,
yeah.
because if it had been returned and my parents had opened this letter, they would know something was wrong with me or I was going through something and I didn't want them to know.
Yeah.
So fast forward to 20 some, 30 some, 40, 40 some years,
Okay.
30 some years. This is how I ended up in New York. I decided at one point in my life, I'm now successful in what I do.
Hmm.
Um, I believe in giving back. So I'm going to give back to everyone who inspired me along the way. And so I Googled Cyndi Lauper. And when I did it, I realized that she had started the True Colors Fund, which is a
Yeah.
fund for gay, lesbian, transgender, homeless youth. And
Hmm.
I'm like, I have to give back to her. She's participating,
Hmm.
in making this world a better place to live. And so I wrote them and I sent them money. And next thing you know, I'm in New York and I'm a sponsorship to her huge event that she has every year. And so that became kind of my mission, is to reach out to
Mm.
everybody in my life who inspired me along the way. If they're still doing things where they're contributing, I
Hmm.
will contribute to what they're contributing for, and it'll make me a part of this greater good. And that changed my life and gave me a life in New York City, where I ended up meeting the people like Mary Mitchell Campbell on
Hmm.
Broadway, who we do our Wellness Wednesdays with. So I know I'm taking that long path,
It's
but
okay.
that was my original inspiration. And now my inspiration are the people who are doing the work like you. I mean, your work is inspiring. And I
Mm,
can't wait to
thank you.
cultivate a relationship about that. So
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is an incredible story. And that it's just to hear how it began, where it took you, and then the kind of culmination of being able to give back and contribute to what Cyndi Lauper is doing in New York and for the
now all over
community.
the world,
Yeah,
all over the world.
exactly.
As of this year, the United Nations honored her and said, you know what? This is not just a problem in the United States of homeless youth who are gay, lesbian, transgender,
Hmm.
but it is a problem in the world. And so the United Nations um, have started this initiative to change that in the entire world.
I have chills like hearing that. I love it. I think that's amazing. And what a gift to be able to be a part of that and to know the story and be inspired by the story and contribute to it. So thank you for sharing that. I love hearing
You're
people.
welcome. You
How
bring it out in people.
it's that therapist. It's
It's that
being a
therapist in you.
yeah. I love it. Um yeah, I think the giving back is something that inspires me too, and making sure that the things that I do, many people can participate in them, that it's not just for the elite people who can afford it, but that there are opportunities for anyone to get the information and participate in it, because the information is so important and so helpful to so many of us. So you strike me
It
as someone
is.
who likes to do that also, giving back.
I do. I feel like it's my purpose, and I surround myself with people who also see that it is their purpose, that we are
Hmm.
all connected. Um, really connected. When we make
Yeah.
a choice and a decision to do something, that it affects not only us, but it affects our family, and it goes out into the community, and it goes out into the state and the country and the world. And when you
Mm-hmm.
realize that, it kind of changes the decisions you make.
Yeah.
Well, it does change the decisions that you make.
Mm-hmm. That ripple effect of how
Hmm.
one action impacts so many other people. Yeah. When you really sit and think about it, or when I sit and think about it, it definitely can feel overwhelming at times of like, oh man, this thing that I'm choosing to do is impacting so many other lives. And
Right.
if I sit with it in that more mindful space of like, no, this is a choice that I'm making to do this. And the intention is for it to impact many, many other people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Big stuff.
It is big stuff.
And now for like maybe the not so big stuff, but I'm curious, we experience creativity every day as humans, but what are some everyday issues that you have had to use creativity to solve?
Well, first, it's working in a pandemic.
Right. Yes.
So on a big level, we had to when I say we, everyone in my field had to recreate the field. How are you
Yeah.
going to do acupuncture and Chinese medicine and not see patients face to face? So
Right.
all of us had to learn how to create a career online. Now, some
Hmm.
of us still continued to see patients, but we had to do it in a way that we never had done it before. So on that level, it's just changing, how am I going to recreate my work in a way that fits right now living in a pandemic. But one of the things that I did, one of the fun things that I did was, okay, I'm now back to work and I'm seeing patients and I'm wearing scrubs and I'm wearing Crocs. One of the ways that I expressed my creativity to begin with was in clothing and fashion, and especially shoes. I love shoes. So every day I would wear really fun shoes that matched whatever outfit I was wearing. And then when I had to move to scrubs, I would wear really cute shoes to match the scrubs. Well, then those shoes got taken away because I had to wear shoes that could be, bleached.
Yeah.
And so now I'm wearing Crocs, God forbid, not the ones with the holes in them because I use needles and I can't like drop a needle and needle my toe.
Right.
So I started dyeing my hair to match my scrubs. So I've had pandemic blue hair.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so that's just the way I've been expressing my creativity. I've started wearing different color blue scrubs, and every month I get my hair colored a different blue. You really can't tell today, but it's blue.
I can see it.
And
The fringe. Yeah.
mhm. and so that's been my everyday expression that I hope brings joy to some of the patients. So the new patients, I do see the look on some of their faces, like, am I seriously seeing a doctor with blue hair? But then once they get to know me, they realize seriously they're seeing a doctor with blue hair.
And it's the best. Yes. That is
So
amazing. And what a creative way to continue to express who you are within all of the boundaries of the pandemic.
right.
There are so many of them.
Oh my gosh, you posted that post the other day about boundaries.
Yes.
I love boundaries. That's what I've been telling people. This pandemic, okay, I know it's been incredibly hard and
Yes.
difficult and bad for a lot of people, and I acknowledge that. Because again, people have gone through loss and grief and sadness and losing jobs. And that is very important to know.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't handle restrictions well.
Right.
I'm realizing that I thrive when I know what the boundaries are.
Mhm.
Because if there are no boundaries there, then I think the whole world is open to whatever the hell I want it to be open to.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
feel like the possibilities are endless. But with the endless possibilities comes I'm not getting anything accomplished.
Right.
Because I'm like, okay, I could do this, 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 this. And I think about all the things that I could be doing. But when you put these boundaries and restrictions on me, I become incredibly creative because it's like I have
Yeah.
to operate within this space. So what can I do to influence this space?
Mhm.
And I kind of like it.
I agree. I think limits are important. Creativity is just boundless. There's opportunities to be creative in every avenue, every moment of every day, and it can be overwhelming. And when you add some limits or some structure to it, there has creativity starts to have some direction, and then it's able to flourish even more because there's direction to it, and it feels like the energy has been focused.
Yeah,
If
I,
that
I
makes
see that I
sense.
need that. Yes,
Yeah.
it makes complete sense.
Yeah, I definitely feel that as well. Right now, in creating the course that I'm doing, I get so inspired by so many different things and, writing 50 ways to spark creativity and imagination. And I have a list of 200. I'm like, okay, we gotta,
Let's stick to 50
right,
to
50,
5.
50 is fine. But
You
yeah,
know, we're an either or society, so it's black or white,
yes,
right or wrong. So give them 2 ways to
right,
inspire.
exactly.
Let them pick.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So I love thinking about creativity and like pushing boundaries and trying new things. So I'm starting to ask my guests, what's one or something new that you want to try in your life that you haven't, that you secretly want to try?
Oh, I meant to think about this today. Something that I secretly want to try. My gosh, you know what? I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know. It's really difficult because, again, I I kind of try anything that comes to my mind that seems like it would be fun
Uh-huh.
and adventuresome. Come back to that question
Okay. I
in a
will
minute.
I will circle back to that question. But yeah, my next question is, what's your secret to creativity?
My secret to creativity.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're realizing I don't have that many
You don't have
secrets. I'm
secrets.
actually trying to figure out if I have a secret. I mean, I had secrets. That's part of, I think, what's gotten me to the point in my life where I am is that I had let go of all of those secrets. I let go of all of those things that I felt like I was ashamed of
Yeah.
or or that were controlling me. Okay. So I think my secret to creativity, and it's again not a secret, is is um is curiosity. I'm curious
Mm,
about everything.
yeah.
And in curiosity, I go into situations not with an idea of what's going to happen. It's like I
Mm,
just wait and watch. And that's the way I view my patients, or they're not my patients, but they're patients who see me. I'm
hmm.
working with a patient and we're trying to get them better with the disease is if they're trying to meet these markers that I have preset in my mind and they don't meet those markers, then I may see their progression of getting better as a failure. But really, I don't know what that person needs to heal. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's to be with that disease. And so cultivating curiosity and being present and allow the situation to unfold is my secret.
I love it.
That's not a secret.
That's not a secret. Yeah. I mean, most of these aren't secrets, but I think, you know, your secret is you live life as authentically as possible. Like that's also something that you have talked about doing over the course of our chat today.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
And if you were to, talk to people about utilizing creativity in their life, how would you encourage someone to start exploring creativity?
I would encourage people to actually try something new. Again, make, as you were just saying, kind of make a list of things that you're afraid of
Oh,
or
yeah.
that hold you back and look at them and do them. If
Hmm.
you're afraid of Okay, first thing that came to my mind when you asked that question, what do I secretly want to do? The first thing came to my mind was skydiving.
Ooh,
Now
yeah.
that scares the
Mm-hmm.
Jesus out of me. And I don't even know where that came from, but it's what popped in my head. Now I've never done it,
Uh-huh.
and the thought of it is terrifying, but now I guess I got to try it. So,
Why not?
what I mean, the worst that could happen is I hit the repeat button and
Yeah.
either I meet Jesus or Krishna or Buddha or I'm back.
So true. That's so true. Yeah, and it's that the kind of stretching that comfort zone to make the things that scare the hell out of us not as scary. So what are the baby steps to skydiving? Is it the like I don't know what they're called, those chambers, the air chambers where people are like doing
Oh my God, I would love to do that. That looks so
those.
fun.
It does
Like
look
shooting
fun.
up in
Yeah,
there.
with like the squirrel suit and they're doing all those fun moves in that air chamber. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I used to be afraid of flying, and then
okay.
I met a pilot.
Oh,
And at this random encounter in New York City, I met a pilot and his wife, and he said, "You're afraid of flying? Come fly a plane. I'm going to come fly my plane." And this is
oh.
not a little plane. This is a huge, giant plane.
Yeah.
And he happened to be retired from the Air Force, and he's like, "Just come sit up with me. I'm gonna let you fly the plane, and you won't be afraid of flying anymore because it's a whole different experience because you have
Yeah.
control. You know,
Right.
you have some sense of control when you're sitting up there, and I'm not afraid of flying anymore.
That's
I'm
amazing.
afraid of falling and crashing, but I'm not afraid of flying."
Let's be real here. Afraid of falling and crashing, but not of flying. I love it. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. And if people want to learn more about the things that you're doing or get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that?
Well, they can find me on Facebook, uh, OMSPC.
Yeah.
Well, omspc.com is my web address. It means Oriental Medicine Specialist Professional Corporation.com. We're in the middle of changing that name now because my degree is in Oriental Medicine, but we realized that that term is no longer appropriate. So we have to figure out a way to change that. But Dr. Keith Bell on Instagram.
Uh-huh.
We post all of our Wellness Wednesdays and what's going on. So it's
Yeah.
what Dr_Keith_Bell.
And I will put
That's how
all
you
those
find me.
links
That's how
in the
you
show
find me.
notes. That's great. Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you again for taking the time to chat with me today. It has been such a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.